Hi everybody, my name is Cypher and I am so excited to be here with the director and associate director of the Fix Trilogy. How you gentlemen doing?
Good.
Great.
Wonderful. Well, I'm here with the director, Jarek James, and with the associate director, Dwayne Gates. I'm so excited. This trilogy is actually wonderful. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
The Fix Trilogy is originally it's about a photographer that's just going through the motions, and he's coming off of a breakup, and he's kind of using his job to fill the void of that gap in his life. And I wanted to kind of put a light on the ups and downs of the photography life, the job that comes with it. It's really a random set of circumstances that I just have never experienced in any other line of work. So I figured nobody's telling that story. So
you're also the writer, correct?
Yes.
How much of it is true? How much of it is fake?
60-40.
60-40?
Yeah.
True? 60 true, 40?
True, yeah, 60 true, 40 false.
Okay, what about the fight scenes? Any of that true?
None of that true.
Okay.
I haven't been in a fight since 10th grade.
This is it, great.
They were fun to shoot though.
Wonderful. Okay, so from what I understand, you guys had a lot of different hats with this project. I'm gonna start with you, Dwayne. What were the different hats that you filled with this project?
Well, providing lighting, additional camera equipment, transportation. Many times, I might have to assist with coordinating some stunts. I collaborated with him with some of the writing for part of the second and third trilogy, especially some of the rewrite stuff. So we bounce ideas off of each other. It's just been a pleasure working with this great talent.
Wonderful. And Jarek, what were the different hats you held?
I wrote it, I directed, I guess executive produced, I did filming, I acted, I did all my own stunts.
I forgot I was in it.
Scheduling, I drew all the storyboards for it.
Lots of storyboards.
Lots of storyboards. That saved us so much work.
So much time.
After like the first one on through the end. So
cannot stress storyboards. I've worked with other people that they don't do it. I'm glad that he's on board with doing storyboards.
That's why I do stories, like the horror stories of what not to do, and music coordinating, because that's a big part of setting the tone for a lot of the scenes. So,
oh yeah, he produced some of the tracks for
actually
the first and
created
second.
some of the beats throughout this trilogy.
Wonderful. What was the most challenging part of directing and acting?
Seeing yourself on film, because you pick up on all types of behavior. Like I like to slouch sometimes. I don't realize that I'm slouching until I see it later on film. I'm like, man, I look like hunchback. Like, how did I do that?
And for me, it's just dialect. I slur my words together a lot, and so since this movie I'm playing myself, I'm not actually out of character or doing an accent or anything. It's hard to act like yourself, and then you see yourself on camera like, that's not how I should be talking, but that's how I. So it's really weird watching. I think the acting is the hardest part for me, because I have to be so aware of things that I don't have to in real life. But it actually helps me now in just my posturing and speech and stuff like that.
Yeah, the projecting and all
Yeah,
that.
definitely projecting.
So I noticed that some of the characters or some of the actors kept their real names and others didn't. What made you make that decision?
Rob just looks like a Rob. It's just, for example, I was trying to come up with names like mine is an odd name anyway. Just keep it. I thought it'd be kind of weird that I'm a photographer. Why not play my actual name? I don't really have a stream of thought or stream of consciousness on what person should be named what. I just felt like, who do they look like? Like in the second film, for example, Zoe, played by Tiffany Pierre-Lewis, her best friend's name is Yaya, which would be like a sidekick name. In real life, they're actually best friends. So I was like, what would be her nickname? That's actually her real nickname. So it just depends on the person.
Well, let's talk about the characters. Go ahead and break down the cast.
Okay, there's me, Jarek, played by Jarek, and I'm the photographer who's just kind of going through a breakup and using my job to kind of fill the void of that part of my life. There's David, played by Dwayne, who is my best friend, and he and Letty, played by Nancy Ivy, they play my support system in a way in the first film. And where in the second film, you start introducing newer characters and you find out that everybody actually has somebody that they lean on. Where I lean on them for advice and whatnot. In the second film, they individually lean on Brittany and Anya, who play Lyndon and Dominique.
And sometimes you.
Right, and sometimes me. So Brittany Smith and Anya Gamoti, they play Lyndon and Dominique. They're a couple, and by the time you see their characters, David and Letty are engaged. In the first movie, they're just roommates, and then in the second movie, they're actually engaged. So you see an evolution of the characters, like they've grown and expanded, and that they start going through their problems. And
Don't forget about the heroine.
that would be
Tiff.
Zoe. Yeah, Zoe. As we bring her back into the story toward the latter end of the first one, she plays Zoe. She plays my ex. And in real life, I don't really have a relationship that I'm basing it on. It's kind of just a collective of stories I've heard from different photographers and their just situations, and I try to put myself in that situation. Like if I'm dealing with somebody, I'm in a relationship, and I'm doing a job that puts me in contact with other women, for example, in the model side of photography or event work, there is a territorialism. Like, they want to make sure that they can trust you. And in real life, a lot of my problems with people finding out I do photography is they feel like they can't trust that part of it. Not necessarily can't trust me, but they can't trust that element. And so it seemed like a real problem. I've actually had photographers that have come to me and like, I appreciate you telling that story because I've actually been through that. Like, that was really a circumstance I dealt with.
Well, that was one thing that I really enjoyed about the trilogy is that although there were a lot of colorful moments and colorful characters, there was a lot of realism. You could really relate to your characters. You could really relate to the situations. And I think that's important because we don't get to hear this story much. Even, without giving away the ending, even to the point at the end where it wasn't your typical happy ending.
I didn't really necessarily want a nice wrapped in a bow happy ending. Just as for me personally, I can't speak for Dwayne, but as far as just give me something, if I'm watching this, something I can take away and I can relate to it in real life. Like, okay, I can see where they went through that. And that's like, one reaction I've gotten was, it wasn't a happy ending, but it was positive and real. That was like a review I got from a photographer, I believe it's Jerome Smedley. So that was, that's kind of what I was hoping for. Somebody's like, okay, there's a lesson from it. It's a coming of age story, so
You're laughing, Dwayne. Why are you laughing?
Because I wanted someone to get the girl. I just thought it was awful that toward the end of the story, it becomes about Rob and David's character and Jarek's character. None of their relationships worked out.
The great thing about it was people didn't have a horrible feeling about it.
No,
it was kind of like, this is life.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on.
Yeah.
None of the men were like, oh, no, it was me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because initially I was going for the story emanated from me going through some issues at my job last year, and I was just really stressed out and I just wanted something to be fixed, and just I wish there was like a reset button or whatever. So I just started writing, and that's where Fix Me came from. And so where it started evolving into a full-fledged trilogy, and you see characters that are in relationships and going through the ups and downs. You would like to see that, but sometimes by the end of it, you realize that maybe you don't have to be fixed. Maybe there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe this is just a process you're supposed to go through to make you a better person down the line. So maybe the fix is you realizing that, as opposed to a quick, like I said, wrapped in a bow happy ending. It would be nice. I mean, next movie, do a romantic comedy where there's a big wedding at the end and everybody doing a two-step or something.
It's not the two-step anymore. It's the wobble.
It's the wobble.
It's multiple,
Wobble.
dances at every wedding that I've shot at.
Well, let's talk about the relationships within the movie. Some of the relationships were, of course, between man and women, but there was also mentoring relationships in there, which I actually really like to see, because I think that within this industry, sometimes it's very difficult for people to find true mentors.
Yeah.
And you guys did explore that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, for me, I really wanted to eventually bring other photographers into the film. And so, especially in the third one where you have Craig Sims and Lenny Reed and Dwayne Hathaway, there's a scene where we're at Hooters. That's the part of the 60% that's real. I actually used to hang out at Hooters with them all the time after work, and we just talk shop, talk about the industry and swap stories, and just talk tips on lighting. If you put this person next to this person, one's darker than the other, and it's this type of lighting, what's your f-stop? Like, a little trivia like that. So that scene was pretty dead on, and great filming by you, by the way, as far as montaging that. But that and Nikki Nickerson, the young lady I spoke to, and then her son, actually her real life son, Alex, and I go to them for advice. And she's trying to mentor him, and so it's kind of a generational mentoring thing, because the other guys are much older than me, fairly older than me. I keep forgetting I'm 37 now. But that generational mentoring, somebody to look up to it that is going through or has been through what you've been through. Now, on the relationship side, I would say David and Letty would be my advisors on that, because in real life, Dwayne and Nancy, I would say, have probably more insight on the relationships than I would in terms of just how our personal relationships have panned out, and I would go to them for that if I were in a relationship. So that would make sense.
I give good relationship advice sometimes.
So I definitely want to talk about the technical part of filming. It was very interesting. First of all, what type of budget were you guys working on?
No budget.
A $0 budget?
Zero.
You guys did a tremendous job. Because you had a pretty large cast for $0 budget. How many people altogether?
Oh man.
Probably 30, 40 people by the end of it.
Right, that's a large cast. You guys actually had stunts and for real fight scenes
Yeah.
in there.
Yep.
A bunch of different locations.
Cuts and
A lot of
bruises.
different locations.
A lot of wonderful models that gave their talent to the trilogy.
Yeah, because I did want that. Part of me did want to, like, let's be real, this is going on YouTube and Vimeo or whatever, sex sells. Let's get a scene with a sexy model at a photo shoot. That's a real part of my job. I actually do shoot models on occasion. So if you're going to draw that crowd, show them that part of your life. So that, occasionally I do shoots here. So.
But you also revealed the outside work, going into the club and shooting that too.
Yeah, we
in
actually.
the first movie, so.
We got permission from, at the time it was Club Primal, we got permission from one of the promoters to come in there and shoot. So I was actually shooting a party, and he came with me with his camera and just filmed me going around the room filming.
We filmed him working.
Well, it was ingenious. You had your club scenes, you had your sex scenes, or sexy scenes, I should say.
Yes.
You had your violence.
Yes.
Some pretty scary stuff going on there.
Luckily, no one got hurt.
No, nothing. So there was no one who got hurt at all on set.
Maybe the funny thing about the first movie, the fight scene, the big fight scene between me and Rob, where he does like nightclub security, and it's hard for him to not manhandle you. He can't fake that. That's not a stunt there. So he's actually got me in a vice grip and slinging me around. So I'm actually being lifted off the ground, and then he has to throw me down. And it was like a kind of couple cuts of bruises or whatever. But it was.
The adrenaline made you not even feel
Yeah, I didn't
it,
even
huh?
care. I was like, this is great. I'm doing stunts. And then the car stunt scene, we tried to stage that over and over again, and it was, as both of us are putting our head down. We were trying to get a stunt going where, David's character sees a girl off in the distance, wants to give her a card, and he forgets he doesn't have any, and he goes back to me, and a car is coming to run him down, and I got to jump across the street to knock him out the way.
That's
The
tough.
saving scene, I saw that.
That's
Yeah,
tough.
it was, because that's not like dirt and gravel like in the first movie with like the nightmare sequence when I'm running. This is concrete, and it's hot, and it's hard, and there's no give. So once you hit it, you're gonna feel every bit of that tumble. So that was we did that maybe twice. I don't think we did it.
That was enough.
No, it was enough.
Set everything up so we got it right the first time.
Oh yeah.
All right, so you said that you storyboarded, you really prepared, did a lot of pre-production before you actually went on location. Did you do anything off the cusp? Because I saw a lot of really interesting camera work. I remember in the boxing ring. I really loved a lot of the boxing ring stuff. I mean, a lot of it. Not just the fight scene, even when they introduced the boss and the guy you were fighting with. I loved how it panned, turned all the way around. Was that stuff thought of in advance, or did that happen on location?
Part of it was half and half. I got the general gist of what the place looks like, and I would sketch out just the shape of the room and just, for setup shots. But for the physical action, like when we were fighting in the ring, that was more improv. And it was funnier that way, because there are scenes when, I'm getting beat up, and then I feel I can get the upper hand, then I get tossed around, and we did a jump cut where I get pushed, I go back to him, then I'm crawling across the floor.
Uh-huh.
I go back to him. So it got gradually, progressively worse and worse for me, which was, you couldn't really storyboard that.
And it was fun to film. It was so much fun to film. I'm like, push his head a little bit harder. I don't think the audience is really gonna feel that.
Zoom in on his reaction with his face getting smushed in the. That was funny.
Were those the most fun scenes to film?
Yeah. There were a lot of fun.
Not the girls?
Oh, the girls were fun. I love filming girls.
Jarek's like, I do that all the time.
I love filming him doing his job because he was actually doing a real shoot. And I'm filming a real photo shoot. They were actually getting work done.
Yeah, and for me,
so that was fun for me.
For me, I guess like you're alluding to, it's pretty much, I've done it so much, I'm used to it. So for a different experience for me, I think the fight scenes, like especially in the ring, I'm a big wrestling fan, so that was kind of a shout out to my buddies that I go to watch the pay-per-views with. I was like, I'm trying to do something, like if you notice in every movie there's some wrestling reference, like the guy get hit in the head with the wrestling belt, or the wrestling ring, or some type of fighting. So that was kind of like a, let me include every aspect of my life and give somebody a shout out somewhere throughout the story. So that was kind of their, like Debbie, Renita, and Anthony, and Preston. Those are my buddies that go watch the shows with, and Dwayne sometimes. So that was a way of kind of including that aspect of my life, since I couldn't really, show me going to a pay-per-view or something. Like,
So you said you always asked for another take.
Yes.
Would you ask your actors to give you something different, or did you want them to do the exact same thing?
Sometimes I asked for something a little different. Other times it was, I wanted everybody to be at the same pace. Maybe somebody's a little bit slower getting those lines out, or someone's not projecting enough. And I just want to make sure he has the best audio, the best possible take. So I'll ask for an extra one, even if it was perfect. Because maybe we get something slightly different that's also great the next take.
Which actor explored their character the most? And I'm sure you guys both have different answers, and it might be the same one, but Dwayne, you tell me first.
I think probably Rob's character explored, the most, only because...
And let everybody know.
Yeah, Rob, who played the villain in the first movie and later partnered up with Jarek in the second and third film. Well, actually, the third film, he was still your enemy at the end of Fix Us, the second one. His character changed. He went from being a villain to a comrade,
mutual,
and they partnered up and were able to take care of business and ultimately resolve their differences. So I feel like his character grew a lot.
I was gonna say it's a tie between Rob's character and Mark. Mark played by Stefan Michaels, because Mark is everything you say about Rob, I agree with totally. Like, he was, the villain in the first one. Then he becomes like we join forces toward the end of the second one because we have a mutual villain that's. It's almost like
you guys both got tased.
Right.
That was so funny.
And I wanted that kind of, what could we do? We discussed it when we was doing the building process for part 2. Rob was like, okay, I want to be in the second one, but I want to be a good guy.
Really?
Yeah, he actually, because he comes off as a rough exterior, and you don't know that he collects comic books and he watches wrestling. And he's a very down to earth guy.
On the ladies level.
So he was he was like, I'll do another one, but can't. So we had to come up with a way to make it to where it evolved into him being an ally, I should say. So that meant creating a bigger villain than him, and that had some kind of tie between me and him throughout the story. So that's where the story really expands in the third one. So Rob and Mark, being that he was a fellow photographer in the club, just kind of referencing that I run into photographers in the club that do the same thing, and we have mutual friends, and we hang out at Hooters like the rest of them. And then at the end, without giving away what he does, he drastically changes, and it's just the last thing you would expect as to how he ties to everything.
The ultimate backstabber.
Yeah.
And he was your friend all this time.
Love to hate him.
Yeah. and it was funny editing that in the third one, just how referencing all the old footage, like buddies and cracking jokes and everything, and then getting shanked and beat up in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was him and Rob definitely grew the most, expanded the most, I would say.
And I would say Wayne's character too, because whether people know it or not, in the first movie where there's that dream sequence and Jarek is chasing and hunting himself down, it actually was Wayne's character that was chasing and hunting him down, who later became this ultimate villain in the second and third movie.
Yeah, so it pans out.
So,
it makes sense, you know.
so, but they didn't know that. We didn't know that it was a dream sequence. But
Yeah.
he was actually the master man.
So the whole fight, and it actually was in the exact same place that the dream sequence was in the first movie. So it's kind of like, you know, I inadvertently developed a premonition of sorts where me getting beat up or whatever resulted in that actually happening by the person playing the same character. So
Foreshadowing.
yeah, foreshadowing. Yeah. I'm learning the terminology as I go on this.
So who was the life of the shoot? Who made you guys laugh whenever they got on stage?
Courtney.
Courtney, yeah.
Courtney.
So tell us Courtney's character.
Courtney Cleveland, he is Rachel's angry dude in parts 1 and 2. He didn't have a name in part 1 and 2, purposely.
So talk about Rachel.
Rachel is played by Crystal Stevenson, my sister. And she plays the model that's just not really taking the job seriously. They just kind of like, anything can distract them, so they just like whatever. So her, in the midst of an argument, and this is a 60% of reality, I had a model that got upset with me because some pictures ended up on Facebook through somebody that actually hacked her page, and they thought I was responsible. And so I took that and just expanded it, and it became like the actual storyline. So Crystal plays that model who's like just distraught, and you know, my privacy's been invaded. I can't believe you put these pictures online. And in her being upset and storming off after the phone call, she's like, I'm gonna get some chicken.
I told you about fucking them cheap ass photographers off fucking Craigslist anyway.
It was expensive. I can't. Let's go get some chicken. No, it's fine. I just want this to be over so I can get some chicken.
Kicking myself.
You want to go get that chicken?
If you don't stop asking about the chicken, you're not getting any of my chicken. Focus on this.
I know you got some general salad. What? You were saying? Just some chicken.
Just blurted out, and that was an improv take. That was just all from her. So she and Courtney were funny in that they kind of came up with their own just off the cuff comedy.
Oh
Courtney,
my god.
first
Courtney's
take,
so funny.
you can do multiple takes, and there's gonna be every single time they're gonna come up with something funny to say, no matter what.
And they're on her wall, dude. What if her grandma see this shit? Or what if her mom see it? Or what if her play auntie that used to keep her when she was a baby see this?
She on
Or
Facebook.
Exactly, that's my whole point. What if her little cousin see this shit and she trying to get them to go the right? Oh my god. Oh, what the? Dude, you got angles of my girl on Facebook. I ain't even seen. Hello?
I got so many takes of him from the first movie, and every single one of them is spot on. He was always saying something different when he was arguing with Jarek over the phone about his girlfriend and the photographs and how naked she was, and I ain't seen this and I ain't seen that, and her mama's gonna see this. There's so many that we couldn't even put them all in there, but there were so many, and they were all spot on funny. This guy,
Yeah.
very creative.
Absolutely, I enjoy the scenes with him.
And we wanted to keep him anonymous, like he's any model's boyfriend, basically, that has an issue with
The
you.
other guy.
Yeah, any model that's got a guy that's got an issue with them, I run into that a lot, the insecure boyfriend
He gets
syndrome.
to see her.
Right. People can be, depending on the concept, super comfortable around me, and that's a territorial invasion of sorts to some guys. So he would represent, so he's Rachel's angry dude. It's not until the third one you find out his actual name, and it's Vladimir. Something you would not.
But you guys actually had a name for that.
Insecure boyfriend syndrome.
That's right.
Right. The insecure boyfriend syndrome, the IBSs.
Yes.
That was funny. I love that because it is so true. And it's the opposite way around too. There's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
insecure girlfriend.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Initially, Zoe in the film was the insecure girlfriend because she didn't like me doing photo shoots. And toward the end of the film and moving toward the beginning of the second one where she's conversating with her best friend, how we've grown and, you know, I see what he does now and it's more of I understand the work behind it. So that, the insecurity diminished with those two characters as far as that. And, you know, so that's kind of where that started.
What was the moment when you were directing where you were just proud, seeing your words come to life? What piece of the 3 different fixed trilogy pieces? Which one made you the most proud?
For me, I definitely part 3. So like, you know, the thing about filming now that's different from photography that I've learned with this project, photography, is you get a finished product photo and then you break it down and deteriorate it with editing. With video, there's this anticipation of you got all these building blocks from all these scenes and you put them all together, and the finished product is the end. So especially this one where I got to see how the characters ended up, how all the storylines evolved and whatnot, and then the closing credits. So I actually went to a 4th of July fireworks show downtown and filmed it, and wanted to kind of have some big, stellar, huge ending of some sort, just to kind of, that was the happy ending part for me, like just, you know, when life gets you down and go to a fireworks show. You can't be mad at a fireworks show. So for me, part 3, and then the one of the trailers we did, the Fix Up, the teaser trailer, it's all in black and white. And that's one of the things that went exactly to storyboard, exactly how we went up and shot it and framed it up and everything, and it was just really cool to see that finished product.
So Dwayne, how about for you? What is the one thing that you did personally that made you the proudest?
There is a swooping scene in the first movie where I'm following this guy. He's on to another project, and he comes around this corner, and I'm shooting him as he comes into the frame. And then he goes out of the frame and it expands into this wonderful landscape shot of the city of Atlanta.
Oh, I remember that.
I just love seeing, that was one of my favorite scenes that we shot in the movie. There's no words, it's just good music and him just, you know, on his grind. He's getting to the next project. He's trying to get somewhere and get something done. And that's one of my favorite scenes that I shot in the movie.
I must say that Atlanta actually took on its own character in the movie. Which I was very pleased for. You know, you're anticipating the different places, like, oh, I know where that is, oh, I know where that is. You see the cities, and I saw a lot of your photography actually through the landscaping within the video, which I thought was really nice, because I love your landscape photography. So being able to see you implement it in video form was really, really nice. Yeah, let's talk about the music.
Musically, me personally, I think we're both very eclectic in terms of our taste. I wanted something music that set a tone, that set a pace to each scene. And as far as music, I reached out to different artists for. Asia Bryant is a acquaintance of mine that actually recorded independent recording artist. And the scene he just mentioned, where the panning shot, her song is playing through that, and actually shaped the montage based on the lyrics in the song. I actually wanted that. It's called Broken Heart, and she's, you know, talking about getting over a breakup and everything, which is ironically what I was dealing with in the film. So I wanted something that kind of base everything on. And so in the second film, there's another montage scene where I used her songs, and another scene like with Christy Hills, a model I was shooting. She plays Carmen, Rob's girlfriend in the first film. And I was using her music for that scene. It's something that's like a song's called Teasing Game, and Christy's character plays like kind of a teasy, flirtatious model that's, you know, having issues with her boyfriend. So that song fit when you first introduce her character, the Teasing Game. Like, okay, this is what she's doing.
I love shooting that scene because she's kind of flirting with him, and he's not even paying it any mind. Like, I don't even know what she's doing over there. She's just trying to look him up and down like he candy or something.
Right. So we're in reference to Christy's character Carmen. She also has a scene where I go occasionally, if I'm doing a photo shoot, if I'm not digitally sending them, I'll go to the person and send their pictures to them. And we sit down and we're talking about the pictures. What people wouldn't probably know is in the background you hear some music playing, and she actually mentions it in the scene that she has a mixtape, she's rhyming and whatnot. So I got to play that in the background. T-shirt she's wearing is like her Assets apparel brand that she uses. So I actually got to kind of plug some of her stuff through the music and through some of her apparel and other artists. And my other sister, Octavia Steverson, the montage, which I thought was really cool, where I'm at home and the multiple versions of me in the same room, and just kind of vexed going through my issues after the fight scene in the first film. She's singing a song by Brandy called Camouflage, which I thought the lyrics were very poignant for that particular segment of the film. So she contributed. So we reached out to different people, and I tried to change up the type of music for each movie, or the tempo or the pace and whatnot. So
I absolutely loved. I got to give her a shout out. In Fix Us.
Carla Hines. Yeah.
I absolutely loved her. Was that all improv?
Yeah, that was one take.
That was a one taker.
Yeah, she just straight off the rip. So from the time one shot of her driving up, and then one shot of her just talking, getting out the car, and then the rest was just,
Is that her? Is that how she typically acts?
No.
Or is she
She's
just
very,
straight up?
she's very
No,
articulate.
it's
Like she's just like any of us, but it's just I wanted TJ's character to have like a hidden flaw in that there's this baby mama that we never knew about the entire story that's been like looking for him, and she finally catches up to him like after me and Rob, after our altercation with him. She shows up, we tip her off or whatever, and she shows up, and we actually filmed that on 2 separate days. So not only did she do that off the rip, she wasn't even with us when she shot that.
Right. There was no one there when she's tasing. There's still one there. He was already gone.
Yeah, that was like we shot all the action one day, and we brought her back the next day around the same time to splice her footage, and it was a scheduling conflict. But she did that off the rip, off the top of her head.
Well, shouts out to her because
Yeah.
I thought it was tremendous. All right. Well, what do you want people to really come out of from watching the Fix trilogy?
I'll answer first.
I get to answer this one first. I think that I want them to know that just because things don't work out the way you expect them to, doesn't mean that they won't work out, that you shouldn't stop trying.
And I would like people to know that take your challenges for what they are, and don't let them shape you, but let them be your platform to kind of motivate you to do or outdo the challenges, so to speak. Fix Me was my story. Fix You was based around Zoe's character and showing her challenges and introducing the rest of the cast. You'll see throughout the trilogy that everybody kind of leans on one another at some point. David leans on Lyndon. Letty leans on Dominique. I lean on David and Letty. Rob leans on me for advice, and I lean on photographers, and vice versa. Everybody needs, as opposed to what Drake says, no new friends. You need friends. You need new friends at some point to kind of help you figure things out. You need that extra perspective to kind of clarify something you may not have been aware of. So I want people to take away from this that you need friends at some point. You need some stability or some type of people having your back. And if you don't have that, find that in you and build on it.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm very proud of you. What you did was extremely difficult, and you pulled it off extremely well. For those of you who want to watch it, go to www.jarekjames.com. That's JarekJames. Got it right?
Yes.
JarekJames.com. And I'm really excited to see what you guys have next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.